Okay. Iceman, World War I and World War II. The Iceman died around 5,730 years ago, and he was murdered. The earliest known murder victim, and no one knows who murdered Itzy the Iceman. But I've heard that some people, but one funny one is that some say that the Iceman's wife killed him. That is very odd.
Maybe he was.
Not a good person?
Could be. You have no idea. You don't know. What about the guy who discovered irrational numbers?
He was drowned by his, like, the group he was in. What was it called again?
What was it called? Now we kind of go a cult. Yeah.
They drowned him. So it's funny because that cult, they loved rational numbers. Say 7 over 15 or 3 over 10 or 4 over 11 or 5 over 12 or 6 over 13.
Okay.
And famous irrational numbers: pi, e, square root of 2, square root of 3, square root of 5, square root of 7, and square root of 10. And probably square root of 11. I have no idea.
And what's the most famous number of all?
Don't know. Probably which one? Rational or irrational?
I was thinking 0. The most important number, and it was the last one to be discovered.
Yes. That's right.
So we got the Iceman. We have irrational numbers and fanatic cults that kill people irrationally over irrational numbers.
They're irrational about that.
Yes.
Rational numbers made them
Completely
irrational.
Completely.
They're rational about rational numbers, and they became irrational about irrational.
Yep. So it's just like food. You are what you math.
Oh, was it like that funny joke about deja vu? Deja vu, stop feeling all over again.
Yeah. I've got that deja feeling all over again. What about, and then you said about World War I.
Yes, World War I. There's this one famous pilot that lived through the whole war without dying, and he came to one of the plantations in South Carolina. I forgot his name.
Rickenbacker?
Yeah, Rickenbacker.
Eddie?
Eddie Rickenbacker.
Ah, holy smokes. What are the odds of surviving?
Don't know.
They were pretty bad. So I think there were some
Like
places the
1
average...
over 0. 1 over 0.
The average life expectancy was
Oh wait,
3
1
days.
divided by 0. Don't know. Wait. 1 over 0 can be 1 over 0. What is 0 divided by 0? 1? I've heard it can be 1, infinity, or 0. Only you can divide by 0, it's just still get 0. So 6 divided by 0 would just be 0. Divided by 0 is unknown.
But we will maybe have to play with limits, because those are precursors to calculus.
Okay.
And actually kind of fun. Like, what happens to this formula as the number x goes to infinity?
Oh no.
You figure it out.
Yeah.
You solve it.
Yes, World War II, very bad time.
Well, yes, well, in World War I think it was the Choctaw, who, two of them were talking in that language, and we had trouble with the Germans breaking our codes and figuring out what we were trying to do and finding out in advance. And so one of our soldiers walked by and heard the two Indian Choctaw soldiers talking in that language, and he thought it was gobbledygook. So he brought him back to the headquarters and asked them to transmit a message in their language, and the Germans couldn't figure it out. So they made a whole bunch of code talkers, and it was actually, I think it was the Choctaw, were the ones in World War One.
That was
That-
unsolvable.
It was unsolvable for the Germans because they didn't have anyone who knew the language. So before,
Unless they got someone of that then.
yes, but you know what they did?
What?
To get ready for World War II, they sent people over to pretend to be anthropologists to study the Choctaw language so they would be ready for World War II. And then we didn't use the Choctaw. Who did we use in World War II?
Don't know.
Navajo.
Check that one out.
That was the other unsolved code. So
I know.
so I thought that was funny. So, and do you realize?
This way.
So do you realize though that the Choctaw were fighting in World War One before Indians were even considered American citizens?
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we didn't even have citizenship until I think it was 1924. They're like, well, I guess they're American. Are they American? I don't know. So anyway, we are at 6.5 minutes. Ready to go for tonight? And
No,
we'll-
we talked about math. We
Okay.
talked about unsolvable math problems.
Undefined math problems.
Yes, undefined.
I don't know any unsolved ones. but-
0 divided by 0 and 9. 2 to the
Mhm.
nth power plus n squared equals 1024. Yeah.
okay.
Find that out.
Well,
It is
we'll
not
have to-
9 or 10. It's somewhere between 9 and 10.
Hmm.
I've tried a lot of numbers. You can't try every number because it's infinity.
Mm-hmm.
Probably irrational.
Probably.
Hopefully they don't draw me for that.
Hopefully not. I don't think we
Probably
do that
not.
anymore.
No.
All right, ready?
Yes.
And signing off.
Yes.